Well, hello, poker people, and welcome to St. Petersburg, home of the stunning Winter Palace and the world-renowned Hermitage. Both equally famous, mainly because they are, in fact, one and the same building. We have come to this monumentally impressive city to watch the European Nations Poker Challenge, an annual tournament held at the sumptuous and elegant Italian club overlooking the majestic sweep of the Moika Canal. First, a little historical perspective. Formerly known as Petrograd and Leningrad, St. Petersburg is home to the stunning Church of the Resurrection, also known as the Church of the Redeemer or the Church of the Spilt Blood, just to confuse its visitors, who generally refer to it as God's Christmas tree. Natives of the city are known as Petersburgers, which is also the name of a fast food joint on Nevsky Prospect. Famously unpopular with skydivers, the city boasts more pointy buildings than anywhere else in the world. The city is named after its founder, Peter the Fabulous, who married a Lithuanian peasant girl called Catherine. Vodka may have been involved, we don't know, who cares, but she went on to become the first Empress of Russia. Nice one, Kath. But enough of culture, we're here for the poker. The European Nations Poker Challenge is held over a 4-day period. Teams consist of 6 players representing England, Sweden, Scotland, Russia, Ukraine, Finland, and the Baltic states. This is the first televised tournament to feature not only Texas Hold'em, but also 7-card stud, Omaha, and high-low variations thereof. Please don't panic, everything will be explained in due course.
And over to my fellow poker professional and last year's European #1, Dave Culclough, to explain the game.
Hello, today at the European Nations Poker Challenge we'll be playing Texas Hold'em, and I'm going to try and explain how the game is played. We'll start with the button. The button generally moves around the table to dictate which player speaks first and dictates the order of play, really. Generally, the button will start at, say, this point. Immediately to the left of the button, there is a small blind posted and a large blind posted. The action will then go to this gentleman and then this gentleman. So, typically the dealer will then deal so. Each player gets 2 down cards. These are his own personal cards. They will be kept concealed and he certainly won't be showing them to the player next to him, and only he will see these cards. These 2 gentlemen already placed the mandatory bet. So this gentleman has 3 options of what he can do here. He can either fold his hand, he can call the 200 bet, or if he wishes and he really likes this hand, which he won't do because 10-5 is not a good hand, but he can actually raise. We're actually playing pot limit today. So a raise would be a call of the 2, and he could raise anything up to the pot, which is currently 5. So he could raise 5 more chips. If they don't put the same amount in the middle, they must pass.
So let's have a quick look at the ranking of hands. At the top, and what all poker pros want, the royal flush. That's 10 to ace of the same suit. The straight flush is 5 running cards, all of the same suit. 4 of a kind, what it says, 4 of the same thing. Then you've got a full house, that's 3 of one thing and 2 of another. A flush, all 5 cards of the same suit. A straight, 5 cards in sequence, an ace can count as high or low for a straight. 3 of a kind, that's 3 of the same number.
Now this next one's very difficult. What exactly is 2 pairs?
That's 1 more pair than 1 pair.
Ah, I see.
And if you completely miss and you end up with nothing, your high card plays.
It's amazing.
Name it Lalith Kajoria.
Murray Brown.
Dave Culclough.
Rick Ladding. Rupinder Kohli.
And Terry Burke.
We are Team in England.
We are
Team England.
I think we've got a strong team. We've got a different type of team. We've got a lot of solid players. And I think we're in with the chance. There's a lot of good teams here.
Hello, Team Scotland.
We're going to win. No, I fancied England before I came here, and we saw them coming out of a nightclub at 4:30 this morning. The reason we saw them coming out because we were just going in. But no, Sweden, if they've got the same team as last year, must be favourites.
Sweden, Finland.
The current champions.
Yeah. Sweden, Finland, Scotland, Ireland.
Well, it's very nearly showtime. My name is Keith Coycarp Allen, and it's time for me to hand over to Gary Choirboy Jones.
We've got the 7 teams of 6 players, that's 42 contestants. They're assembling in the main card room to hear details of the all-important draw.
The draw, Gary, what's that all about?
Well, basically you're going to find out who's going to be your contestants and who you're going to actually have to fight against on the first day and for your first table. So it's just a random allocation from the tournament director. Let's have a look at some of the more interesting players for the today's event. And here's international tennis star Yevgeny Kafelnikov. He'll be hoping to hit plenty of aces for the Russians. Johanna Pusing,
Finland.
the only female contestant in the tournament.
Murray Brown, the English captain, face like a Will Self book, impossible to read.
That's Doolally Lally from England.
Likes to bet big and often.
That's Valeri.
Possibly the loudest player in the world.
Mikael Thuritz from Sweden.
And the youngest player in the tournament, 19. Good-looking boy.
That's Kirill, he's the Russian team captain.
And a very good player.
And that's Vlad the Impaler.
Pluto, arch-enemy of Popeye. Cheeky Girls tribute band.
And over to our tournament director, Keith
Bendigo
Sloan from Australia.
European Nations Poker Challenge 2004. We've got the best poker players from all over Europe gathered here in St. Petersburg for what promises to be 4 days of the greatest poker action you'll ever see. Welcome, players, and good luck to all of you.
So let's see some of the highlights from before they reached the final table. And the early story was the early exit of Kirill, the Russian team captain. There he is. Real big surprise there, as he is usually a very solid player, and he was the second man out. Then we join the highlights later on, down to the last 2 tables. Everyone now gets points for their team, so they're all just hanging on to try and make the final.
Now, I'd have to say here, I think the Scots look fabulous in those crisp blue shirts, don't you, Gary? They've made a real effort there.
Very tasteful choice of clothing there, I think.
There's not one on this table, but... Oh, yes, there is. Here he is at the bottom. With his,
At least he's made an effort. And here we have the 11th man going out. That's Yevgeny Kafelnikov, showing he can serve a good game of poker as well as tennis. And that's his final card he gets to see. And he's out in 11th place. Being commiserated by Kirill, who can't really complain, being the second man out of the tournament.
Not a very good night for the Russians, really.
No, and you'd expect them to have done a lot better, I think.
Oh, now here he is, look. Dave McGeeky, last night, I know for a fact that he won the Lenin lookalike competition in Club Coco. Now, will his luck continue into the poker tournament? Anxiously looking at the flop. The finish goal. It's quite chip heavy there by the look of it. David very concerned, and he's done.
Yeah, David representing the Scottish team. He's the 10th place finisher. Now 1 player to go before we reach the final. The final played 8-handed. And unfortunately, it's the pretty one. It's Johanna Pusing,
Finland,
who goes out in 9th place. Would have been nice to actually have her in the final.
She's obviously gone all in there. Gary.
Yeah, she's gone all in. Those are just small chips, all of the ones she's got racked up there. And unfortunately for her, Ivan Ganitsky has just knocked her out, and she'll be our 9th place finisher.
I think he's the only Ukrainian in the final, isn't he?
I think that's correct. And the players on the other table, ecstatic to make it through to the final. Let's hear what some of them have to say.
I got a little unlucky against Mr. Tennis Player. He had to hit a 9 or a 10 on the river in a very key pot, and he hit a 9, and I thought I was never going to make the final. I thought the Swedes, each table I played on, the Swedes were terrific, each and every one of them. They made one move just before the end where one player raised Another player re-raised, this is just before the final, set all his chips in, squeezed the Scot out. The first Swede passes, gives him the pot, and he had absolutely nothing, and it was just a brilliant move. It's the only pot I've seen him lose. He gave it to his friend. I think whatever happens today, we're going to go behind. I'm sure of that. Swedes, Russians. So I've got to try and get as high up as possible for damage limitation. My chances of the final will be okay if I can get off to a fair start. If I go behind, I'm going to be chasing chips throughout, and it'll be difficult, especially against players like this.
The qualification for me was very tough because all the game I have small chips, and in a case when I double up first time, the guy from Ukraine, Ivan Ganitsky, he played quite well, but I realized what he had, but just ask God to help me, and it happens.
The qualification to get to the final table was pretty tough for me personally. I was down very short stacked, and I was getting a bit lucky. The team Sweden has been very lucky so far, because we got 3 out of 8 players at the final table. I would say that the Russian team has a lot of players with different capacities, tight, aggressive, wild, and really unpredictable. That's very important in the poker tournament, I guess. And we have a tactical advantage now, since we're 3 players at the table. No other team has more than 1 player.
Got lucky early on against a Swede. I had pocket queens against pocket aces, and I managed to hit a queen on the turn. So I got really lucky there. But other than that, it's been relatively plain sailing. The Swedes played very well tactically as a team. In the latter stages of the second last table, I was caught between 2 who were betting tactically and very astutely, and it made it difficult for the rest of the table. I think everyone at the final table is strong. I think it's just a question of the cards. Swedes obviously have an advantage in terms of having 3 players out of 8, whereas the other 5 teams only have 1 player. So I'm just going to see how it goes, play my cards as they come, and hope for the best, and hope to get some points for my team.
You don't want to let anybody down. This is the key. Normally you play for yourself, and you want to let yourself down. And now you're always thinking about
the other 5.
Not letting the team down.
We have to avoid putting each other out, which we do routinely back home. That's the difference, the big difference. It's quite tricky at times.
Coming up in part 2, our 8 finalists battle it out over the final table. Join me, Keith Koikarp-Allen and Gary Choirboy Jones to find out if anybody or anything can stop the Swedes.
Welcome back to the Partypoker.com European Nations Poker Challenge. Our field of 42 has been whittled down to the final 8, and we're going to compete to see who wins day 1.
Tactics in team play are to make sure that before you play a hand, you know who's in the hand and from your own side, if they're likely to be in it. If you don't know that, you have to play your cards differently than you would if you were playing for yourself.
We're going to get them drunk early on.
That's it. Get them drunk. Absolutely.
And let's have a look at our finalists today. In seat 1, we've got Ivan Ganitsky from Ukraine. Seat 2, we've got Yevgeny Ivanov from Russia. Seat 3, we've got Murray Brown from England. In seat 4, our first Swede, Lars Kjestrup. Seat 5, it's David Meyer from Scotland. Seat 6, Stefan Oslind, also from Sweden. Seat 7, Vlad the Impaler, part of the Baltic States team. And seat 8, the final Swede, Mikael Thuritz. And now we join the action as it's about to start on the final table. Our Our button for the first hand is going to be in front of Yevgeny Ivanov. With David Meyer to speak first.
You might have had a few drinks there, David. I'll be watching him.
I think he's been drinking all day, actually, Keith.
Do you have a drink when you play?
Not too much, actually. No, it's not really something you'd recommend for someone who's taking it seriously. Sometimes a bit of Dutch courage can actually be quite good for you when you're playing a tournament. David Meyer passes. Murray Brown, the English team captain and the only Englishman left in. Nice to see one of the Scots making an effort in the dressing up stakes.
Dressing up.
Our first hand. Ivan Granitsky opens for 7,000.
Stole the pot, did he? The very excitable Russians in the background.
I bet they play when they've been drinking a bit, actually.
King 9 suited.
Murray's found a nice hand there, the ace-queen. Oh, and he's going to walk into Vlad with the pocket aces. Vlad's opened. He's made a small raise. And the action's going to be round to Murray. I'd expect him to re-raise with this hand. And that's exactly what he's done.
All in this early. My word.
Second hand of the final. And Murray's in all sorts of trouble.
I think you'd have to back Vlad here, wouldn't you, with a pair of pocket.
Yeah, he's about somewhere between a 6 and 7 to 1 favourite in this pot. Phenomenally good shape. Murray's not going to be happy when he sees the aces. At least it's not all his chips, he's still got a bit left.
Of course, the Swedes love this, don't they?
They're happy to have someone else go out. Oh, Murray's picked up a chance if he just catches it.
Jack.
He has.
I don't believe it.
He's picked the jack to knock out Vlad the Impaler. Very, very fortunate from Murray Brown there, and he knows it.
So it's just poker. Barry gets good cards, and I get good cards, but my cards was 4 times better than his, but it's poker. Sometimes it happens. So I'm very upset, but what can I do?
I guess they both played it right, Gary, really. There's nothing they can do with cards like that.
No, once again, as quite often happens in poker, the cards kind of played themselves. The chips had to go in the middle, and Murray got lucky. And I've always said it's better to be lucky than good. So, we started with 8, we're down to 7. Murray Brown's doubled up, which is good for the English team. So come on, Murray, let's see what you can do. We're on to the next hand.
Rubbish. Not rubbish.
Stefan with the king queen. Looks like he's looking to make it a little bit more expensive to play.
Will they be operating team tactics at this stage of the game, do you think, Gary?
Yeah, probably. One thing we notice here, the Swede on the button's just raised, and there's only one other non-Swede left to act after him. That's Ivan Granitsky from the Ukraine. But of course, he can see that the Swede's only got a little bit of chips left, only what looks like 2,500 after he calls the 5,000 raise. So he might feel like he wants to gamble with him, try and knock the boy out, try and lose one of the Swedes. But it is still quite a reasonable amount of chips. It's just working out just how much it's going to cost him.
He's betting on him not having the ace, I presume, isn't he?
Well, it's actually the boy on the button, the Swede's actually the one with the king, queen of hearts. And he's basically just, I've got a big enough hand, I don't have many chips left, I'm just going to throw him in. Or caller, Ivan, has only got 10-4. He's got absolutely none of it. But he still feels like he's got a call for the 2,500. Try and catch something. He's going to be in all sorts of pain. He needs runner 4. So 4-4 or 10-10 is all Ivan can hit. And right now, Stefan's doubled up. Bit of an unusual play there from Ivan. I don't think I'd have wanted to waste the chips that he has in this particular pot.
I mean, he was trying to frighten the lad, wasn't he, really?
He's basically just deciding to gamble to try and knock him out. He knows he probably hasn't got the best hand, but he's just decided the boy's not going to cost him too much, so he's decided to play.
David there ordering another jug.
I don't think he's stopped since the start of play. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if he hasn't stopped since last night. Opened up for a raise from Mikhail.
Nice tidy wad, David's looking at.
Evgeny Ivanov says raise the pot.
Got Evgeny Ivanov, looks like he's moving all in.
Action here from the Russian team.
A medium ace for Evgeny. He managed to get Mikhail to drop his hand. That's a nice pot for the Russian boy. Obviously a local favourite. Looks like he's smiling.
See when you have cards, pocket of jacks.
Murray doesn't look too happy there, does he?
Murray never looks happy. Especially not while he's playing poker. That's about as much of a smile as you're going to get out of Murray.
We're humble.
And that's definitely Murray's voice you can hear.
Embarrassing when you do that.
Ah, nice hand there for Stefan. The ace-queen. I think we can see a raise coming from him. We had this situation last time when he raised Ivan Granitsky's big blind. Ivan called with 10-4 off suit last time. I don't think he's going to call with such a weak hand this time.
8,000, Stefan, yeah?
8,000.
8,000's the bet.
Ivan now regretting the fact that he's doubled up Stefan. Can't afford to play for another 5,000. Lets it go.
Yeah, that might come back to haunt him. But David, though, he's not getting much action, is he? But he's keeping his chips together.
Yeah, he looks quite comfortable with the amount of chips that he's got.
Very canny Scottish player, I'd say.
Yeah. Not risking too much. Certainly not feeling the pressure so far with the blinds as they are. It's 1,500, 3,000. Oh, Mikhail's found a nice hand.
7.
Same dish.
Michael Thuris makes it 7,000, is it? 7,000 off the button. When you get past the 2 blinds.
As you can hear from our tournament director. A raise up on the button from Mikhail. With the pocket aces from Mikhail. He'd be happy to get a little bit of play with this hand. Is Yevgeny going to oblige? No, he isn't. And Mikhail picks up the blinds.
There he is.
Our tournament director there, Keith Bendigo Sloan, originally from Australia. Now running a card game out in Russia.
210,000 plus on the table. And the Swedes have got half of it.
Nice hand here for Mikhail again. Straight after the pair of aces, he picks up pocket tens.
That young, aggressive Swede who makes it 14 to go from the button.
14.
Raises the pot, 14,000 to
The
play.
maximum raise. Well, he's run into the Russian. The Russian's played back at him. And Michael likes it.
He's moved all in. Michael calls
Don't
the
deal
pocket
dealer.
tens. He's up against one overcard, the ace-6 for Yevgeny.
Virginia's got ace-6 offsuit. He's up against pocket 10.
Natasha, do that.
Virginia's got him out chipped.
I see that.
I don't know if the Russians are digging out their player there or supporting him.
That's not a bad flop for the ace. If he catches a king, he knocks out the tens. But no, that's no good. The pocket tens hold up.
Full house.
And Yevgeny has just doubled up Mikhail.
This full house.
More chips for the Swedes, and they're going to be a difficult team to beat at the moment. The dealer just counting out the chips to go over to Mikhail. And Yevgeny doesn't look very
too happy at all, does he?
Virginia's still in with a total of 1,500.
Small blind, less than the small blind left. I'm guessing he's going to be our 7th place finisher sometime soon.
Join us after the break.
And welcome back to the Partypoker.com European Nations Poker Challenge. Yevgeny Ivanov, crippled by his last hand, went out during the break, and we're down to 6.
You know, it might be a blessing in disguise that David's not getting a lot of action here, Gary, because I think if we were to go to his under-the-table camera, if he does get a hand, and it does slip slightly, the viewers at home are in for a bit of a shock, because he's wearing a kilt, and, well, it would be a shock. Well, you'd need balls to play that hand, Larry. You wouldn't for that.
Ooh, looks like we're going to get some action here.
Yep.
We had this confrontation earlier on in the tournament, ace-queen against aces.
14.
Let's see if we get a different result.
Small in play.
We've got action here in the very first hand after the break. Pocket aces from Lars against ace-queen from Ivan.
So, the confrontation again. Can the ace-queen play it, get out a jail-free card? Or are we going to be losing our last player from Russia? Queen-queen, 6-7 for a split. And that card seals Ivan's fate. A consolation prize on the end, the queen. But Ivan is going to be our 6th place finisher, our Ukrainian. And that leaves us with 3 Swedes, an Englishman and a Scottishman. Sounds like the start of a very bad joke. So you've got to fancy the Swedes are going to crush out the Englishman and the Scotsman here.
Well, I'll tell you what, David is playing it so tight, so safe. I'm astonished he's not wearing a seatbelt.
My friends.
The English and the Scot might need a
Yeah, hasn't been an awful lot of action from the
I had
Scots.
some too.
Scotsman, he's get himself out of trouble nicely.
And have you noticed how cocky, I can say that, the Swedes are? They do look very confident, don't they? Ah.
Well, you've got 3 out of 5 of the players. You've got to fancy your chances right now.
I think there'll be some action here.
Rebo, start the clock for me, please.
Flat call from Lars.
12.
And a raise from David. Our first real pop we're going to see from our Scotsman.
Well, I think he made a mistake there. I think I'd have re-raised.
Brooklyn the Brave.
We're playing, we're going to get to see a flop here. The Swede playing a bit cagey, not putting too much pressure on the Scotsman. Is he going to pay the price?
I think he'll regret that.
The Scottish player, David Meyer, moves it all in on a flop of 5-10-5.
You see?
That's enough to
And
take
that's
down the pot.
showing that the
20,000.
advantage of taking control before the flop means the other player has to improve to want a call. And he hasn't.
I
So
think
the
he made a
Scotsman's
mistake,
took
the Swede.
control. Yeah, if the Swede wants to keeps the pressure on there, he could have bet into David on the flop, or he could have put more pressure on him before the flop.
You know Swedish meatballs? Yes.
They're now talking about meatballs, and maybe we should say this on. You can only take so much.
Maybe they've seen the under-table cam of...
Ah, now then, Stefan.
Hands for two of the Swedish boys.
Well, it's just an exchanging of chips, really, isn't it?
Yeah, looks like it could go like that.
He does remind me of Jimmy Somerville, actually, the fellow on the left.
Bit taller, though, I think. Jimmy Somerville was quite a small bloke.
Thank you.
Please.
Possible the Swedish boys have made a mistake here.
Mm.
They've both got reasonably nice hands, but they doesn't look like they want to battle against each other. And that's going to let our Scottish friend, David, in for cheap.
Check. Check.
A lot of checking going on there.
Mm.
Lovely skin.
12,000 in the pot, last bet 6,000. David Myers cutting out chips.
Well, you can see what's happened here. He's waited for the knicker draw. He's had a sniff. He's playing with panting
Calls
on.
the
He's
6
raising.
and raises a further 9,000. Makes it 15.
18.
Is it? 18, I beg your pardon. 18, it's a raise of 12.
Bendigo. First mistake of the evening.
Putting the pressure right back on the Swede, trying to represent the jack. Or at least saying, I don't think you've got a jack. And he's right.
He's bottled it.
$36,000 pot.
Yeah, nice play there from David. He's actually got a few outs if he gets called there. He's got the 7 deuce of clubs. And he's got a flush draw, so he can catch a club if he's got it wrong. And he's actually managed to get Lars to lay down the best hand with the ace high. Good play from David.
I think he's got Swede a bit worried, isn't he?
Yeah, he's definitely the man to be feared at the moment. Getting the chips, he's hit a nice little run. And as you can see from that cheeky little grin, he's quite happy. It's either the fact that he's just won all of those chips, or the fact that he's on his 13th or 14th pint of the day. Our last English representative, Murray Brown, suffering a little at the moment. And he's decided to make a stand with his king nine of clubs.
I think he'll go all in, won't he?
He's going to try, but it's pot limit today, so the maximum he can raise is the size of the pot.
21.
And he picks up the blind.
Nice if I got called.
Stop bluffing, Murray. You don't really want to call her when you've got the king nine of clubs. You should be happy to pick up the 9,000.
You must see right through them.
Yes, I have the camera in my eyes, so it's very easy for me to play.
Stop. This is called bullshit.
Bit of friendly table talk from the Swedes here.
I don't know if you noticed that his hair has become more and more disarrayed the worse his hands get, the Swede. Look at it.
He pulls out the brush as soon as he finds a pocket aces or something and puts it all back
Play
in.
that hand.
Fold
Shoot
it.
it.
18,000.
18.
Button raise from David. Makes it 18,000 to play. And he takes 9,000 off the Swedes.
Yes, I do.
And he's looking a force to be reckoned with at the moment.
As we think the program here, chips are going to Scotland.
Just about to order another couple of pints, I think. Look at that hair. It's a terrible mess now.
His hand must be getting worse and worse there. Oof, big hand here from Stefan. He moves all in. Murray asking advice from the Swedish man on his left. Probably not the best person to ask.
I'm sure.
You're an ABBA fan?
If I was the Swedish guy, I'd advise Murray to stick his chips in with that hand. Because he'll probably double up
It
Stefan.
would have been hard not to be ahead.
Do you think being in a team, when there's three of you in, a five-player table, it can be a disadvantage?
To some extent, because you might be feeling like you want to stay out of each other's
Yeah.
way. The other boys can actually just go for chips, because, David and Murray are both playing just pretty well for their team on their own. The others have kind of got to avoid each other as well as try and get the chips, so it does make it a little bit more complicated. But they do have the advantage, of course, whenever they're the only ones left in a pot, whether they're both in the blinds like the two boys up the end there, they can pretty well decide who's going to get the chips. So there's certainly a lot more to it than maybe some normal games.
And the Swedish team take 3,000 off the English player.
You win any pots unless you're in them. Come on.
This is true.
The Swedish guy's trying to goad Murray into doing something
We're in
reckless.
St. Petersburg, Russia, and there's not a Russian in sight.
Murray's played enough that he's not going to be goaded by them.
Oh, it's me, yeah. 21.
Oh, big
Maximum
hand from
raise.
Stefan.
21,000 from Stefan.
And a nice hand from Murray as
Top
well,
limit,
especially
that's the maximum
five-handed.
you can raise at this point, and he's been re-raised all in by Murray Brown from England. He's called the 21,000, and he's
Some
moved
very
in for
vocal
further
Englishmen in the
5,000.
background.
Another 5?
5 more.
There's no shame to pass.
Just cut the chips out, make sure I'm right here.
Well,
Cry of a desperate man.
Yes.
Count
He's not in good shape here, Murray. Now he's walked into the pocket jacks. Done nothing wrong, of course. It's a big hand, five-handed.
61,000 in the pot. Pair of jacks against Murray's ace-7.
Let's see if we can find an ace for Murray. And there it is. But there's a jack. Oh, and that's going to spell doom for Murray. Unless a 9? No, no 9. Just a consolation prize of aces and 7s for Murray. And he's going to be out in 5th place. Well played, Murray. The English team captain picks up some good points for the English team. And we're down to 4. 3 Swedes and 1 Scot.
What went wrong in the final? I don't think anything really went wrong. The Swedes were very strong. They were making moves, trapping. The Scot and myself in between. I found an ace in the end, and I happened to walk into a hand. I flopped an ace, and it was followed by his jack to make trips. So
Down to 4, and it's 3 against 1. It's the drinking Scots versus the
Thinking
Team Sweden.
Played all the ale he can get here.
And he's going to have to knock all 3 Swedes out, and probably sometime soon. Oh, Mikhail's moved, made a big raise up front with his 9-7. He's walked into David with a big hand.
That's all England. All in.
All the 21.
And Mikhail looks sick. He's got next to no chips left. He feels like he's got a call. And he's right, once he's put that many in, you've just got a call for the rest of it. He's in all sorts of pain.
9-7 against pocket jacks. We saw pocket jacks last hand.
5, 6, 8.
10.
Needs a bit of a miracle.
10,
And that's
10,
2
7.
bad cards for Mikhail, but 7's giving him some outs. 7 on the end. Or he's going to be out. No.
Well done, David.
I recognise those shirts in the background. That's Team Scotland.
Still there now.
And it's looking a bit better for the Scottish now. 2 against 1.
Maybe tomorrow.
Tomorrow? I need it now.
He doesn't seem too upset about being knocked out. He knows he's done nothing wrong.
Now we are in big trouble.
No, he had no option there, did he, Billy?
Well, he's decided the blinds are about to go through him. It's going to cost him 9,000 over the next 2 hands. Doesn't want to lose 9,000, so he tries to pick up the pot. He knows there's only one man he's got to find at the table with a hand. If the Scottishman doesn't have a hand, he picks up the blinds. He knows the other 2 aren't going to play with him. So now, Team Sweden have to come up with a plan to get the chips off the Scotsman.
Stefan Osvig from Sweden, he's on the button.
He's wondering whether he should bluff.
Of course I should bluff.
Like about 12,000 off the button.
Doubles the big blind, makes it 12,000 to play.
All in.
And Lars has moved all in
Well,
here.
see, David won't play, will he?
David might
Well, what
do
they're
in
showing
this
here is
situation.
good team play by the Swedish
A
boys.
couple of aces, it's easy.
Yeah, they're moving the chips from Stefan, who's on the button, over to Lars, who's getting a bit short stacked. Just basically gambling that David doesn't have a big enough hand he wants to take him on with here. Very good team play. This is the big difference between playing for yourself and playing as a team. Keep them both in and keep neither of them short chipped. Nice play there. And they pick up the 6,000 from David.
Queen, queen.
That is Jimmy Somerville.
Okay,
That's the same hand as I had.
Rejoin us after the break.
Welcome back to the Partypoker.com European Nations Poker Challenge. Let's have a quick recap of the action so far. Vlad's pair of bullets misfired when Murray Brown caught a straight on the river, so it was goodbye Vlad. Yevgeny Ivanov was taken down by the 19-year-old Mikael Fritz from Sweden. Via some canny play, the Scot David Meyer began accumulating a large stack. And Murray's two pair were no match for Stefan's triple hooks. Murray goes out in 5th place, and then David Meyer took out Mikael Thuritz to become the meat in a Swedish sandwich. Which is where we rejoin the action
Level of opening hands.
with the last 3 players.
Du hängde med på den, Nathan. Det var bra.
Jag vet. Nice. Scotland, Sweden. Nice cards.
We've already seen some very good team play from the Swedish boys.
No, Stefan, that's a very good hand.
Feelings bad.
Do you play anywhere I'd like to play, actually, Keith?
No, I didn't mean the cards. I meant his fingers, nails.
Ah, right, okay.
Very, very good condition.
David just has to announce race for the boys to pass nowadays.
How much chips you have, Stefan? We have some 40. He have all the
Going to take some canny play from the Swedish boys to try and get the chips off David Meyer here. He's looked very solid so far.
You're thinking about making a move?
Call.
An unusual play there from David. Especially 3-handed, you don't very often see someone flat call.
Interesting move.
A very interesting move. David Meyer's called from the button. This
And
could
I'm not
be
the
an
only one that
interesting
spotted it.
situation.
We've had both the other player, one of the players, and the tournament director announcing it. It might put the brakes on the 2 Swedish boys a bit, because quite often when a player does this, he's got a very big hand. As it happens in this case, I think David just doesn't want to let the Swedish boys have heads up, because then they can pretty well pick who gets the chips. He's scared off Stefan. Joe, and he's not afraid to mix it up, David. Doesn't need a big hand to play.
Oh, thank you very much.
And he's flopped some of this. He's got the 7. And Lars has got the 6.
$15,000
from Lars.
Dangerous looking flop, the 5, 6, 7. He doesn't want to give a free card, so he tries to protect his pocket 6 with a bet.
We take a new pot.
Please pot.
And it hasn't worked.
Raise pot.
Not afraid of the straight that's out there.
It's the dream.
16,000.
He raises it up. Puts the pressure right back.
16, 16.
You know, I think that's the second time he's made a bad play.
Those blue chips are 5,000. Yellow are 1,000.
I think the
60,000.
flat call from before the flop from David's really just kind of shook him a bit. He's now ended up giving the pot
That bet is
to
60,000.
David.
He'll have him all in. It's okay, don't worry about cutting it down. It's okay.
The question
You've
is,
got Lars covered.
is he going to gamble with the king
Lars
six? No,
shows
he's not. He
king
shows
six.
it. Shows he's
And
laying
there's
down
not
the
much
middle
chance
pair
you'll see
here.
what David had. You'll have to watch the show.
No, he won't. Don't.
Good lay down from
Lars, you'll be
the
able to
Swedish
see that
boy.
on Sky TV, mate.
Found out where he was.
Looking forward to see that.
In all sorts of trouble.
2 queens.
Keeps banging on about 2 queens, doesn't he?
David?
You like queens?
There he goes again.
He's trying to find out if anyone in the audience likes queens. It can get quite lonely while you're out in St. Petersburg.
Well, I'm sure he'd like the nuts, really.
Probably going to ask for the footage for the under-table camera for David at the end of the show.
Now then, Lars.
He decides not to get busy with the Jack 3. And David picks up a freebie as they all pass to him. And he's building a little tower there.
I think the Swedes are getting a bit nervous here.
They feel like...
well, I think they feel that they could have had it in the bag a while ago, but he's just been a bit too tight and a bit too safe, I believe, isn't he?
Yeah, hasn't really put a foot wrong, David. Played very good.
Should pick up a good
Queen.
21.
21.
And Loz does pick up a good queen. He raises the pot, makes it 21,000 to play. He's putting the pressure only really on David. He knows he's not going to get a call from the other Swedish guy. He shows the filth he's mucking.
Yes, again, and again.
Stefan shouldn't be too upset. Lars picks up the pot. What's good for Lars is good for Stefan. No room for personal glory in this. It's team play.
Natasha.
And now the Swedish boys just have to decide who needs the chips the most. And it's Lars. So Stefan passes.
4 or 6.
That's the beauty of playing in St. Petersburg. The weather may be cold, but the women have a lovely warm smile. She didn't look like she smiled at all.
Twenty-one.
2 picture cards for David. He doesn't really need to play it actually, but you might feel that these boys are raising too much. Doesn't really have enough left that he should pass if he gets moved all in.
Couple of
here.
thousands, doesn't matter.
Coaching.
And he doesn't.
Well played. I think he laid that down very well.
Doesn't really need to get involved with the Queen Jack in that spot. Knows he's always going to get a caller if he decides to go over the top.
Next year we can have a mixed team, Scotland and Swedish.
Unbeatable. Unbeatable.
The Swedish boys look like they want to adopt David into their team. Not much for Stefan.
21.
Lars likes his hand, he makes it 21,000. Oh, and so does David. It's a nice hand.
Almost a titta där.
He passed the Queen Jack, but I can't see him passing the King Queen, especially if you saw Lars' hand. Yeah, it's a nice big hand.
David has announced he'll call to 21 and he'll raise the pot. David to roll his cards.
31,000.
Pot committed already. Lars has to
31.
call with
That'll
whatever
test
he's
him out,
got.
he's gotta count.
He's put 21,000 in there, can't really afford to pass for the last 10.
Ace Jack, I hope you have.
He's hoping he's up against Ace Jack.
Obviously plays a lot of poker online, I can tell by his chip skills.
I have a queen.
Oh, you have that?
Lars has got Queen 4 offsuit, he's up against King,
no
Queen,
problem.
and
A couple of fours.
He's walked into a world of pain here.
Lars a big dog to win from here.
Let's see if he can find his get-out-of-jail free card. That's not going to be good. And he's flopped the flush draw as well. Right now, David is going to knock out another Swedish boy. And we're down to 2.
Head to head.
And the Scotsman is in fantastic shape now.
And small blind will be on the button.
Just after he got knocked out, I asked Lars how he thought the Swedish team were doing.
Yes, we were very, very happy. It's a good start.
They're doing very well, the Swedes. They're looking at the accumulated points total for either second, third and fourth, or first, third and fourth.
Yeah, they're in very, very good shape at the moment. The point system actually works by anyone who makes the last 16 gets points for his team. And first prize gets 50, seconds 44, third 40, all the way down to 2 points for 16th. So the Swedes looking in a very commanding position so far on the first day.
Lovely shot there from the belly cam.
All our dealers having to have a camera surgically inserted into their stomach to deal today.
Now look, David's looking directly there at Joe Brand's breakfast. The table full of chips.
They've changed up the chips. Those are 5,000 in front of each player. It may not look as impressive, but David's still got a commanding lead.
Well, it's 220 now.
With 220,000 chips in play, as you just heard Keith announce, our tournament director. And David passing. 5,000 from his stack slides over to Stefan's.
So all the Swedes have gone home, although I think Michael's in a nightclub somewhere. The Scots are still here.
Well, you have to pay to get into a nightclub, Keith.
I don't work non-stop.
Oh, a nice big hand heads up there, ace queen for David. Stefan flat calling on the button. And a raise from David. If you're not going to raise with ace queen heads up, you may as well go home. And he's decided to stay around a little longer, David.
Very strong. Crowd is cheering me on. Not enough.
A little bit cagey this early. Just feeling each other out. Looks like about 11 or 12 chips sitting there in front of Stefan. Very nice fingernails there from the dealer.
He's just dropped an ace on the floor.
Not much for David, quite a bit for Stefan. Stefan raises it up. David decides to release. He's not really got much of a remove play against Stefan there, with him only having that many chips. The Swedish team obviously happy he's won a pot. Looks like we might need two big hands for these boys to want to stick their chips in. That's
giving him something.
Somewhere between half and a quarter of a hand then, the Queen 8 of diamonds. Stefan, who's actually in front with the King Deuce, lays it down.
Takes 10,000.
And another 10,000 hits David's stack.
Very, very good hair, Stefan.
A card trick there by the dealer.
I like to look. I get reads when I play poker. I look at people's hair.
You look at people's hair. That's
Yeah.
your way to get tells on players, is it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. I think if you're nervous, if you're not too confident, you lose the sheen. You know, the shine.
It starts to the oil dries
Yeah,
up, and
that's
you
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to have to use that one the next time I play, Keith. Thank you.
You saw that with Lars. I mean, it had like a bird's nest by the end of it.
Not everybody dares take on a Scot.
I mean, look at her hair. She doesn't care in the world. Now then, watch his hair drop out.
I think he's just added a few grey hairs there to David's.
I had one of those.
Join us after the break.
Welcome back to the Partypoker.com European Nations Poker Challenge. To recap on the action so far, it was David Meyer from Scotland battling against the two remaining Swedes. Meyer, who had so many chips he could afford to throw them around a bit. Lars made a move on Meyer, but came off second best, leaving Scotland and Sweden in the head-to-head. As we rejoin the action, David and Stefan are circling each other warily, waiting for the right moment to strike.
Just while we wait for the deal to hand. Gary, Choir Boy Jones. Where did you get the Choir Boy from, Gary?
A friend of mine were sitting around a bar in Vienna, just killing some time and basically just commenting on everyone else's bad nicknames. And he decided to come up with a bad one for me, and unfortunately it made it into Poker Europa. And from there, it stuck. So if you can come up with something a bit better, I'd appreciate it.
This could go on for some time.
So, Keith, what about koi carp? Where does that come from?
Well, it's quite simple. When I was young, I used to moan a lot, and I was very shy. So it's Keith Coy Carp.
Good practice for the dealer, though.
I know, it's weird.
Murray
Belly
Brown from
cam.
England coming back to get some pointers. Watch the two players remaining, the Scot and a Swede. Murray will be hoping to go one better tomorrow.
It's quite interesting at this point of the tournament. You don't get that kind of cacophony of Russian sound in the background. It's now Scotsman.
I think all the Russians have retired to the bar by now. They've
David Meyer from Scotland.
lost interest for the moment.
This time, Stefan has played back at him. Stefan Osling has decided to move all in.
Just decided he doesn't want to go any lower in chips.
Got anything good? No, me neither.
David decided to try and make a steal.
Sweden shows King 8 clubs. And David Meyer has 8-9 offside. So Stefan's
Got
big
caught
favourite.
by Stefan, who just decided to make a stand with his King 8, and it looks like he's going to be in very good shape. Unless he can catch a 6, 9, or Jack. No, that's no good.
King 8 holds up.
King 8's a winner. And that's going to double up Stefan.
Sweden has always been here.
And I think that could make him
Chip leader.
our new chip leader. If he's not, he's very close. That looks like about 100,000 out of the 220,000 in play. Definitely very close.
Focused, yes.
9 for David.
All in.
Very brave. Well done.
90 maximum.
Big move.
Putting the pressure back on from David with his Queen 9. Stefan not with much of a hand, King 3.
Play back at the
He doesn't
race.
have an awful lot of chips left. He's put
Raise came off
30,000
the
in there.
button. Play back. Re-raised.
Looks like he's got about 50 or
90,000
60,000 left. He decides to muck.
Enough to win that
So go on.
30,000.
Strong play there from David. Make sure he stays out in front, chip leader. And gets
Scottish
Stefan
players
to lay
like
down
that.
the
I'm
better
not sure
hand.
what happened, but they liked it.
Power poker.
So Stefan back to 50,000 now.
Temporarily.
Temporarily.
Simeo has done.
How you lose
He's enjoying
50,000
himself
heads up
there,
very quickly.
David.
David Meyer on the button. wasn't brave enough to make it 2 moves in a row.
Raven Scotsman.
David, you want a beer?
Yeah, that'd be nice. Yeah. Thanks. What about
Well,
me?
they're both drinking like crazy now. I don't know if this can go on for much longer.
Beer Przejałska.
Fluent in the lingo there, David.
Sorry, that's not a race yet.
And that's why you're not getting a beer.
There are jackdaws there.
Let's try again.
Here comes a raise.
All in.
We've got action this time. If you're watching this, this
Ah,
could be the last
this is
hand
it.
of the tournament.
This is a big hand here.
This will be the last hand of the tournament.
If David can win this, he wins the tournament.
Stefan.
Stefan needs to win this to stay in.
There's 120,000 in the dump, and he's up against Queen 9 of spades.
Practically a 50-50 shot, this one.
Do this nice and slowly. Pair of 4s are still in front.
Queen or 9 needed.
Jack.
Now an ace would be good.
Queen or a 9.
Queen 9 or ace, no good. Pocket 4s, holds
So
up.
the young Swedish player.
And the Swedish boy doubles
Stefan
up.
Osling doubles through. 120,000.
Yeah, shit. Sorry.
Well, it looks like he didn't see it.
They were, I think they were commenting on what happens if an ace comes down on the river.
We're going to have to win the chips.
I think David's actually announced he wants an ace on the river, and Stefan didn't realise that that would actually be a winning
Now
card for
you're
him.
bonding with the Scot. Huh?
100,000 for the Scot. 120,000 for the Swede.
Big grin for the Swedish boy there. That's a big pot. That's swung the chip lead over to the Swedish.
You can see David's hair now getting slightly duller.
Yeah, you can see the sheen's gone a bit, actually.
Absolutely, absolutely. And look at the Swedish lad, it's shiny.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you could be onto something here.
David raises from the button, 30,000 to go. That's enough to take it down. New
It's
dealer
amazing.
coming
Mike
in.
Carroll's Book of Tells, a very famous poker book, doesn't have that one in it. I think that's an oversight for him. I think I'll phone him up and mention it. And here we've got a dealer change.
This is Natasha just taking a seat at the table.
How much do you want to...
Two is enough for both of us, I think.
Yeah?
Yeah. Just give me one. No, one of them. Okay.
And the Swedish boy getting a little tip off David to pay
Well,
for the
I
beers.
tell you what, that is absolutely amazing. That must be television history.
I'm probably the first man who ever got a $1 gift from a Scottish person.
What do you mean, probably? For sure.
What do you mean, gift? I'm expecting something for that dollar.
I'm not surprised wearing that kilt.
And on with the action. Enough of the frivolity.
I'm not used to playing these heads-up games.
A lot of passing going on, not a lot of action. They seem to be enjoying themselves too much.
David, cheers. May the best man win.
Good luck.
If it's me.
Very friendly, Gary.
I suppose the advantage is that it's a kind of team play. They're not playing for an awful lot of money at this stage. It's all still very cagey. It's just a couple of points difference between first and second. When you're playing most live tournaments for yourself, there's a very big finance swing between first and second, so there's usually a lot less laughing and a lot more poker faces. Nice to see, actually. Not taking it too seriously.
Cheers. Big hand. I was ready to go all in there. Were you?
No.
Obviously not, as he
I had
passed.
2 overcards, though.
Oh, shit. No.
There's something very gentle giant about David, isn't there?
Yes, he's...
He's a giant and he's
Jag
gentle.
vill vinna en tävling i mitt liv.
It's amazing how he made that leap to come up with the gentle giant comment.
We've been unlucky. Should have been all over 3 times.
The ace is good, but he's walked into a bigger one for Stefan. And he's decided to raise.
Like that?
Going all in, is he?
I think he's trying to raise the pot, but the pot won't quite take all of his chips. And now David has a decision to make. This is a big, big pot for him.
Come on, David.
Shh. I think that was one of the Swedes.
Come on, David. Knock him out.
Come on, fold it. Fold it.
Down to the earth.
Sounds like the audience all want to retire to the bar. Let's get it over and done with. Throw your chips in.
Choice adjectives there.
He's got an ace. He's got to decide whether he thinks he's up against...
I don't think he will, not with
I
that.
have a very good hand.
He's
You
a
do?
bad
Yes.
kicker.
You better fold.
Go, David, go.
No, no, no. Fold, David, fold. I ain't got no deuces.
Getting some free information from the comments from Stefan.
Really? Will it take?
I don't think he will. But then what do I know?
I think he no.
He's decided not to.
Right.
Good lay down there. Good lay down, David.
And will he show?
David would love to just reach over and grab those cards and have a quick nosy. And he's got to wait. See it all on TV. We'll find out that he did exactly the right thing. Well played, David.
Get a lot done.
If he goes on to win this, that could be the hand where he made the best decision. And if he gets knocked out, he's going to regret it.
It's what you lay down is as important as what you got sometimes, isn't it?
Totally. You know, one of the big skills that a professional poker player has to have is the ability to lay hands down. The amount of times people have been in this situation where they think they've got the worst hand, but they still have to put their chips in. They just feel compelled to do it. That's just something that sometimes happens.
Not very good chip handling skills, I noticed around the table.
Yeah, that's a sign that some of these boys probably play a bit more online than they do playing live. It's something you can tell quite often about a poker player, how he plays with his chips. Not very smooth there as a bet to pick up the pot. Shows he probably plays a bit more online than he does live.
There's the lovely Natasha.
Someone can riffle up 2 stacks of 10 into a perfect stack of 20. Even though you probably don't want to play with them.
Good prediction from the spots, huh?
Big battle. The battle of big war.
Still anyone's game. Practically level in chips.
Lars in the background looking for some queens.
With his very unshiny hair.
Oh, it's cheap.
20 pints later.
This can.
We're just sitting here waiting for the kill, aren't we?
Yeah, it's going to be a question of what hands come out to force these boys to put their chips across the line. It's kind of like the calm before the storm. Someone was once said the thing about Hold'em is it can be hours of boredom followed by moments of absolute terror when you find that hand you're going to have to put all your chips in the middle. This won't go on for hours, I can assure you of that. And here we go.
And here we go.
Just the hand we've been waiting for. And the winner of this is probably going to win the tournament.
Ooh, he's picked the ace.
King 6.
And ace-9's nicely in front. Oh, and the king's the first card off.
Ace with 9s.
Needs an ace or a 9.
Ace. No, David, ace. Diamonds.
Otherwise, the Swedish boys are going to do well. It's a 9! Oh. 3 9s for David Meyer. And I think he's got the Swedish boy covered, which means it's all over. Yep. Quick shake of the hand. Don't get in the way of my sparring.
First round goes to the
He's
Scots.
pleased.
We had a big advantage at the final table with 3 players out of 8. We managed to keep it together, play tactically, and well, steal out each other's blinds and keep our stacks about the same, all 3 of us. So we ended up 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place, I believe, which is extremely good, of course.
Tonight's a bit special though, because I did it for the team, you know. We've got a decent number of points now, and hopefully we can go on and build it from there and do well.
So let's have a look at the points. Up front is Sweden, the defending champions, with 128, Scotland 74, Russia 36, England 32, Ukraine 28, Finland 26, Baltic states down with 22.
Well, there you go. That's the end of day one. A fabulous day hand and hair watching. I have to say, Scotland winners at the table, but Sweden, certainly the team ahead.
So join me, Gary Jones, and Keith Allen for day 2 of the Partypoker.com European Nations Poker Challenge, where we'll be playing 7-card stud.